I will nerd out big time on this. Literally nothing. A lot of opportunity for boogies. That's me. Something to be aware of. Why not? Hi guys, Alex here. Today is another day when I tickle your pickle with my news. In store I have conspiracy theories, robotic Spiderman, truck drones, electric planes, and useless Amazon products. Of course, let's get your pickles out and get ready to get them tickled. We'll start light with Robotic Spiderman. Disney has created a robot that literally does aerogymnastics in the air, hence the name aerogymnastics. The idea behind it is so that real people don't have to go through this basically and put their lives in danger. They have a robot that they throw in the air about 60 feet, which looks like this, and it basically does aerogymnastics, which is super easy then to use to put on the Spider-Man costume, and it looks super realistic and super cool. The exciting part about it is how they started. Literally, they started with a brick which turns in the air, then they moved to 2 bricks which turn in the air, then to 3, basically like a leg which turns in the air, and then they just jumped into a real human-sized robot which looks like a human being, 50 kilos it weighs, and they throw it in the air 60 feet up, and it does some cool aerogymnastic acrobatic stuff in the air. Oh! Technology moves in all directions and expands into every industry, into every sector, which is super exciting. So there is a lot of opportunity for people that are robot enthusiasts to do literally anything. Literally, guys created a robot that flips in the air. Super cool. So exciting news, and to the next one. The next exciting news is about autonomous trucks. This is super cool. Hyundai introduced truck drones, which is basically like a base with wheels, and that's it. There's no place for a human being there. It's just literally a base with wheels. 2 of those bases can come to a special trailer that they can pick up autonomously. The things are hydrogen powered, and they can drive 1,000 kilometers on a single hydrogen charge, which is super cool. And once they arrive at the destination, the truck can autonomously detach and just put itself where the little cars, bots drove it to. The cool thing about this truck is that it can separate into 3 different things, so 3 different small trucks, so you can load it with different goods and ship it on the basis on these little bots. They are called buggies, on little buggies, and they can drive it to one destination, then it will detach, and then the next part will drive to another destination, and then they can detach and go to another destination, or they can separate some part in between. So it's super exciting. The greatest thing is that it's completely autonomous and driverless, and it's hydrogen powered. It's insane, the world that we live in. 10 years ago, you couldn't even imagine something like this. Now it's literally a reality that things like this are happening. It's super cool. The design looks amazing. Absolutely love how it looks. Super futuristic, super cool. And I would love to see the concept in real life, where you can literally see how it detaches, how it moves around like a little transformer, and how they can drive like a platoon, like 20 of those trucks can drive together in one direction, which will save quite a lot of money on goods deliveries and a little bit more money for hopefully us consumers through the goods. So yeah, exciting news. To the next ones. The next news is about a like button underneath this video. Surprisingly, it is not autonomous. It is very much human powered. So if you could, please poke it once and make it blue and delightful, that would be great. I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much if you did. Leave a comment down below, and to the next news. The next news is the topic that frustrates me deeply, is the misinformation in the media. So I've seen a lot of articles around which says like big companies like Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Disney, all of them are on one side, on the public side, pretend, that's what they say, pretend to try to fight climate change and try to stop it. And then on the back of it, the back end of the stuff, they funding the lobby groups which fighting against the climate change bill in the US. And I started to think, it's like, really? Is that what's going on? It's like huge corporations are doing that much damage to their reputation for some stupid climate change bill. So I started looking into it. The whole bill is trillion bill, out of which like 7.5 billion, literally nothing, relates to climate change. So the whole bill is an infrastructure bill. Very little of it has anything to do with climate change to start with. The way that the government wants to fund this, basically Biden, obviously the guy who belongs in the grave pretty much, Bill wants to sponsor this 3.5 trillion through increase in taxes. And that's what companies are fighting against, because the corporation tax will raise 5%, and the individual tax will raise about 2%, from 37 to 39. Corporation tax goes up from 21.5 to 26.5, 5.5% it goes up. So obviously companies trying to fight it because they're huge corporations and they don't want to pay an extra 5.5% of taxes. That is a lot of money down the drain, so to speak. Instead of, putting it in innovation, giving it to people that can invest it in other startups and businesses, we will give it to the government that will spend it on military that nobody needs. Pretty much. So that's what companies are fighting against. And the narrative in the media is that obviously it's evil corporations, conspiracy theories, straight away that, big corporations pretend that they care about the environment, and in reality they're trying to stop the bill. But in reality, the bill has very little to do with climate change and a lot to do with increasing taxes. And that's what the companies are trying to fight against, which is not surprising and makes sense in my books.
That makes sense.
So something for you to know: can't believe anything that is written in the media, and you have to do your own research and make your own conclusion. All right, to the next news. Next news is a nerdy one. I will nerd out big time on this. So there is a company called right? Lol. And they're making electric engines for planes, which can produce 2 megawatts of power. That is a lot. That's equivalent to 2,700 horsepower. That is a lot of ponies in this little thing. The idea is that when you compare efficiencies, it's much more efficient than the standard jet engine. The standard jet engine is 8 tons. That's how much one engine weighs. It produces 23 megawatts of power, which is equivalent to about 30,000 horsepower, which is huge. And if you do the maths, 2 megawatts versus 23 sounds like a big difference. The thing is that the engine, the electric one, weighs only 200 kilos instead of 8 tons. And you can fit 8 of them, 6 or 8, on a plane. And when you think about it, you basically have 4 electric engines on each wing, each producing 2,700 horsepower. And if you do the maths, it comes to about 21,000 horsepower, which is cool. But it is less than the 60,000 horsepower that is produced by 2 jet engines. But what you also have to remember is the weight. And if you calculate the watts per kilogram kind of efficiency, the little engine is 10 kilowatts per kilogram. That's how much energy it produces. And the big engine produces only, like, let's round it up, 3 kilowatts per kilogram, which is super efficient. So the electric engine is more than 3 times more efficient than the jet engine, which is super cool. And obviously that's less weight that the plane has to carry. Instead of 16 tons, it has to carry 1.6 tons of engine, which is extra weight it doesn't need to carry. It doesn't need to carry fuel, which is also very important. And hence, because they weigh less, they will be much more useful and more efficient on the plane than the standard jet engine. It will be quieter, it will be more efficient, it will have less vibrations. Plus, they're much easier and cheaper than the jet engine, and that will hopefully result in cheaper fares for customers sometime down the line. At the moment, they are going through, sea level testing, so they're not flying anywhere up, they're just nice on the ground. Once they do those tests, they will do more and more tests, and hopefully in the next 5 years or so, we'll get to the point where we'll have an electric engine on the plane. Super cool. So something to be aware of. To the next news. Next news is a short one and it's hilarious. Basically, there is a guy who is a construction worker. He's about 50 years old and he finished his job, and with his buddies, they went to the woods for a drinking session. Obviously, they enjoyed their time, and the guy was drunk and left to his friend's house to sleep at around 2 a.m. The friends thought the guy was lost in the woods, so they arranged a rescue party to find the guy. Literally, the police came, everyone gathered and started to look for the guy. The guy wakes up in the morning, right, in the house, nice and safe, and sees that there is a search party going on. And he's like, oh, I'll join it. So he joins the search party, and once they start shouting his name, he's like, that's me. What a silly goose, right? The guy joined a search party to literally search for himself. That's how you find yourself in the woods. Huh? Funny news stories. To the next one. The next news is about Amazon Astra robot thing, which looks pretty cute. Here's the video of it. And what can I say? What can it do, right? It has a screen and eyes, which looks pretty cool. It looks like a little Hoover, but it doesn't hover. Why not? It will be so cool for it to hover. Anyway, so it drives around your house, it can follow you and play music. You can video chat through the little screen, and that's about it. Well, you can talk with Alexa as well, and that's it. So pretty cool. I don't know what you would use it for. I think it's pretty expensive. I didn't find the price, but I bet it's going to be like close to $1,000, maybe $500, kind of in that range. And yeah, it's pretty expensive. Probably cool for lonely people like myself, obviously. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you would use it for. I think, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Hit the like button if you did. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Give me your opinion one way or another. If you want, hit the comment section below. I would love to see and hear your thoughts. If you want to, follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And as always, I will see you in the next one.
We gotta make them right. Chillin' with mine. We triple up, they on the double up. Triple dub. Came from the basement, we only going up. They loving us. Up in the booth, I'm getting dizzy, but they the cup is up. Toast to my people that's on the come up, and you live with us.